Hello there and welcome to the new channel.
Here to help you see
The new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansada.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Orgamit.
My name is Dante Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mapet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice for beer.
Sir Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldon.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude.
Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
Mine is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Hotline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and More.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You've got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Maray na hapon. It's a wonderful day. Welcome to the new channel. Here to help you see the new you. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo, your host to this wonderful program, the HR Hotline. It's a wonderful day. First, um, I would like to greet our friends who are already here. Um, Kindly post in the comments or chat box what are your current issues as far as employee relations or labor relations are concerned. What are your concerns? What are your issues? And it would be nice if we can hear from you so that we can discuss it later on. But first, I would like to, because I promised my sister-in-law, and I mentioned this before, that is the live streaming show is one way of reaching out to my friends and to my relatives. Again, I would like to uh, greet my sister. I hope that she promised me that she'll watch me because I asked her how I sound and if I have some lapses. And also, I promised my sister-in-law that I will greet our eldest, who's actually now, he has Alzheimer, he has bedridden, and I'm very sure I told her just to let him listen to me. You know, this is the new normal. Almost a year that I haven't been to Bicol, but we can be connected through the through online. Just like now, here is Louis Homero, my BFF in Bacolod. Louis, thank you for watching, and uh, I was invited by Executive Director Rene that I will join your meeting as the chapters committee because I know you are the in PMAP, in People Management Association of the Philippines, you are the trustee in charge for the Visayas chapter. And I'm so glad that I invited to join because I volunteered also to support and be the advisor of the chapters. Okay, so we have other friends who are joining. Now, the topic today is really something that we should be keen and we should be, what do you call this, interested. It's about industrial relation. Sometimes we call it employee relations, and sometimes we call it labor relations. We're going to ask our guest what are the difference? What is it the difference between employee, industrial, and labor? Maybe what is in the name, but I'm just curious. I would like to know why various terminologies for that. Now, why this topic? We are still on a quarantine, the pandemic, and we are actually uh, implementing alternative work arrangements. Oh, we talk about a lot on mental health. We talk a lot on engagement. But I'm very sure. Remember in our Thursday's episode, there is always a problem that is related to industrial relation. So what are the common problems that we have on how we deal with our people? What are the common cases that are filed in Dole? What should HR or management do to maintain good industrial relations? We have to discuss it, and it is something that we have to know. I invited somebody who is a subject matter expert on this topic. Wonderful that he accepted. He's a very humble person. I remember when I was president back in 2016, and 2 or 3 years after that, I volunteered to represent PMAP in what do you call this, conferences and hearings at the Senate or at Labor. Then, because he's an active member of the Labor Policy and Industrial Reforms Committee, you'll be a tandem, we'll be a team. You know, it's only this time that I was looking into his profile that I felt so humbled. He was letting me speak. Maybe because of my age. But you know, this lawyer friend of mine is an expert, one of the gems of PMAP. As early as in the 1990s, his comment was already published in the Philippine Law Journal. He was an outstanding student in UP. He graduated political science cum laude, and 5 outstanding students in the social science and philosophy. Gusto kong matanong kung ang taong nagtapos ng philosophy, pilosopo. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. And then, he is a member of the editorial board of the Philippine Law Journal. He's a commissioner for the Commission on Bar Discipline. Nako, yung lahat ng mga kilala kong lawyers na medyo taliwas, I can now connect because he is now the director, executive director for planning, but the national director for bar discipline. I have a chismis here. Way back when I was young, when I was in the grades, I know of a person, of course, that's in Bicol. He was not able to take a bar. Kasi attorney, if you are listening already, his wife reported that he has another woman. Hindi siya. Yan ang alam ko sa bar discipline. Sa bar discipline. I just ko Mio, mayroong akong isang attorney na alam that is doing a lot of, he's like a clown. I don't know kung pwede yan ma-discipline. Well, anyway, before I continue, I would like to greet past president of PMAP, Obet Policarpio. He is here. I'm so glad that you are watching and listening to us, past President Obet Policarpio. I promise you that you'll be invited also here because we're going to discuss on employees or people engagement in associations. I don't know if we're going to discuss that on a Thursday. And then there is a post from Atty. Tabayoyong. Is a superb and awesome man with authentic heart for people. PP Jesse Francis, we have unforgettable, productive, and happy engagement and endeavors with him. Yes, that's why I mentioned it. Ang yabang ko that I was not asking him really to talk. But he's a great in desiderata. At this lawyer of that I will going to introduce is greater than myself. I know that. I follow desiderata. Always remember there is a person greater or lesser than you are. And the one that I am introducing is a person who is greater because he is very humble. He rose from the ranks, but even then that he was in UP, he was already doing a lot. He is a very active member, of PMAP's Labor Policy and Industrial Reform Committee, or usually, traditionally, we call it the IR committee. I would like to greet, of course, a friend. I hope he's listening. And then John Zuniga is a friend. We had John before. And Attorney Wins and Attorney Distura. These are all my friends. You know, if I have some problems on labor relations, employee relations, I can just call anybody of these of our friends in PMAP. And I would like to greet our muse, diba? Our binibining LPIR committee. Si Sarah, Sarah Ligos. Ligos. Sarah, happy birthday pala, Sarah. And then, of course, I am stalking also. And then it's in the feed. I can see your son playing the violin, and then your daughter singing. Wonderful. That is wonderful parenthood for Sarah. But thanks for Sarah for actually the glue and of course Gino Nebris, the glue in PIMA for trying to convening the legal personalities of PIMA. Okay, so it's time that I have to introduce him to you. He is on litigation, arbitration, and intellectual property. I'm going to call him about this. He is a managing partner of Cadiz Tabayoyong Law Office. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Attorney Randall Tabayoyong.
Hi, Presidency. Ako, grabe yung aking introduction.
Pero parang kasama yun dun sa intro. I'm just curious. Your family name Tabayoyong is from what place in the Philippines?
It's in Pangasinan. It's from Lawak, Pangasinan.
I see. So you grew up in Pangasinan or in Manila?
In Manila already. I was born in Baguio. My parents moved here in Manila.
I see. What was that as early as in the 1990s you were already in the Philippine Law Journal? What was that? I forget the one that you wrote. What was that? A comment? Something?
Oh. Yes, it's a comment on student representation in the governing boards of the university. The Philippine Law Journal is the official publication of the UP College of Law. So we write articles and review articles there.
You know the reason why I asked you that, because there is a current issue just today on UP and then the AFP, I think, DND. We're not going to discuss that. But I think you're updated with that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But I don't think that we will discuss that here, right?
We cannot. But as I mentioned, I passed the UP exams before, but my dad did not allow me. But I studied in UP Soler. But my nephews, Jamie, a lot of my nephews are UP graduates, and my friends, including you, my heart is with UP. What do you call it? Academic freedom. Okay. Attorney, it's always also mentioned in the profile that you gave me that you are the director for bar discipline. What is this all about?
Yes. Well, I had the Commission on Bar Discipline, which is the committee in the Integrated Bar of the Philippines who handles ethical complaints against lawyers. So it is our commission which investigates and renders report and recommendation on disbarment cases against lawyers. Of course, eventually this will be subject to approval by the Board of Governors.
I'm just curious, Attorney. What are the top two ethical complaints that you receive? Corruption.
There are a lot of them. There are several grounds, no, and I really cannot say which one is the most used
May
grounds.
sexual harassment na. May mga sexual harassment.
In general, Press Jesse, I have encountered some. Yes, I have encountered.
Talaga. And then how many percent ang nadidisbar? If somebody complains, if you receive say around 50, how many ang nadidisbar niyan?
You would be surprised. Hindi naman ganun karami. In fact, most of the cases that are filed before the commission are dismissed, no, for lack of merit.
I see. So hindi naman talaga yan. You're given chances of people na with their whims and caprices, they try to complain on somebody. And that is nice.
Yes.
That's nice. Okay. And then let's go now to our subject matter. So what are the common IR cases that are being filed now sa DOLE?
Most of them are really some are money claims, no, because of the downsizing measures that were adopted by companies. Of course, people will now try to claim for the proper amount of separation pay. The others are still questioning their dismissal. That was caused by the pandemic. Of course, they say that the grounds for dismissal, which is either retrenchment or redundancy, is not valid. And then I think there are some other cases where an employee was placed in floating status and he was recalled, but he was not given any assignment. So there's a case for constructive dismissal.
Okay.
And then, of course, there are some cases on other cases on illegal dismissal, which is your usual cases.
Okay. So the first one, we have here on every Thursday. I hope if you have time, you can join us, a consultation. The first one, we had that before. Somebody was really asking on the difference between terminal and retirement pay. Although we were able to solve that. I would like to listen. What are your insights on this? I would like to hear it from you. Yung ano ba yung difference ng terminal or yung separation pay at yung retirement pay? Kung ikaw nag-reduce ngayon, when is the time that you can siguro advise that you will just file a separation pay kasi na separated nga kasi nag-reduce, or when is the time that the employee is already can avail of the retirement? Ano po yung tama dyan, attorney?
Okay. Under the labor code, the terms used are separation pay and retirement pay. No, the terminal pay, I guess that's an HR jargon. But separation pay is the pay you give whenever you avail of the authorized causes for dismissal. So that could be retrenchment or redundancy, closure of business, partial closure.
So yun ang dapat mabayaran, separation pay.
Yes, okay. Separation pay. Retirement pay is the pay that you give to the employee because he becomes entitled to retirement. Under the labor code, the retirement age, mandatory retirement age is 65. So once you reach the certain age as prescribed in the labor code, which is 60 to 65, and you have rendered at least 5 years of service, then you're entitled to retirement pay. Now, if your company has a retirement policy different from the labor code and that is valid, then as long as you render the required number of service and you've reached a certain age, then you'll be entitled to what we term as retirement pay.
Doon siguro nagkakaproblema. Doon siguro, attorney, nagkakaproblema kasi some employees would like now to claim na you are trying to let me go, you're reducing the force, I'll just avail of my retirement. Siguro.
Yes. Correct.
Siguro
especially now.
Kasi may narinig ako, attorney, yung if you're already 5 years in the service, you can avail of a retirement. Is that true?
Well, I guess that's what you can see in some early retirement policies. No, may mga ibang retirement policy that has an early retirement package. So when you reach 5 years of age, 5 years of service, and regardless of your age, you'll be entitled to a retirement pay. No? But please note that this might be subject to tax, no? Because to be tax exempt, the requirement under the tax code is that you should have rendered at
Okay.
least 10
Pardon
years
my
of
ignoramus.
service, and
Pardon my
you're
ignoramus
50 years old.
question. Attorneys, ano ba talaga mas malaki? I'm not talking on the part of the employee. Ano mas malaki? Yung separation pay o yung retirement pay?
Well, typically, the company gives more retirement in retirement.
Kaya
Because
gusto nila
separation pay,
mag-retirement. Kaya
yes,
gusto nila
because for example,
mag-retire.
for example, you avail of retrenchment. The separation pay there is half month pay for every year of service, right? Pero if the retirement pay is 1 month pay for every year of service, therefore, doon ka na lang sa retirement kaysa dun sa retrenchment na half month pay for every year of service.
Doon, attorney, ang maraming nagpa-file sa NLRC. Kasi yun nga, so dapat the HR must be able to explain that. Parang hindi na umabot sa doon. Hindi na dapat umabot.
I think pag naintindihan naman ng empleyado, hindi naman siya magko-complain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love that. I love that statement. The other one is on the pay for SSS, PhilHealth, and what's the other one? Pag-ibig. Paano kung the employee, that is another problem that we discuss here. The employee is parang suspended muna. He's not reporting. No work, no pay. Ano po ang dapat bayaran ng kumpanya? Okay, lahat na HR makinig po kay Atty. Randa.
For SSS, if I remember it correctly, you still pay your SSS contributions because this is not suspended, no? What is suspended during the pandemic is the payment of PhilHealth contributions, but not SSS. And sorry, what is suspended during the pandemic is the pag-ibig, no? Si PhilHealth and SSS continue yung contributions.
Kahit
ang ginawa lang ng SSS.
Attorney, what is that contribution? Sorry for interrupting. What is that contribution? Full employee and employer, or employer lang po ang magre-remit? Siyempre, yung employee po hindi po mapasok ka.
Correct. Wala kasi siyang salary at that time, no? Because there's what called the employer and employee contribution. So, in that particular case, it is the employer contribution.
I see. Okay, so those were just a few of the issues that we discussed here. So let's go back on the common. So ano po ang mga common issues ngayon? So that you will know. Ano po ang mga common issues ngayon sa IR?
Well, the emerging issue now, I think I mentioned it to you, Press Jesse, is yung sa vaccine, no? Can the company now mandate that vaccine be mandatory? That all employees get inoculated by the vaccine, no? And assuming the company shoulders the cost, no? So there's an issue there whether we can make it mandatory for all, especially since some of us have fears that may side effects in vaccine. So that's an emerging issue, and I think it should be resolved both by the company and the employee, and even by government. A regulation to this effect will help, no, in navigating this precarious issue on mandatory vaccination. The other issue that yeah, go ahead, Press Jesse.
Oo nga, kasi I noticed here somebody posted, si Michael, those should listen at Tony. You know, there is what you call something, yung connectivity natin nadidelay ang pakinig ko. So, I'm sorry. I agree. But you know, Michael, this is a conversation format. So, sometimes I get so excited. But I'm really sorry. Yeah. So yung yung vaccine. So, ano po sa tingin mo ang dapat na gagawin ng management ng HR personal opinion?
Well, right now, of course, ang gagawin muna ng HR ngayon is to get the feel from the employees, no? If they're all okay in vaccination. Because if all employees are 100% for vaccination, then you have any don't have any more problem as far as mandatory vaccination is concerned, no? The problem will come about if there are some who have some misgivings about it, no? So, and then you have to find out why do they have these misgivings and what are their fears, no? And try to see if you can find a middle ground so that if the company decides to have everybody vaccinated, then you'll be able to roll out that part of the program without much of an issue.
I got you kasi kung hindi sumunod na magpa-vaccine, they can be charged of insubordination. Tama ba ako, attorney?
Yan ang magandang tanong. Just kasi nga, right now, there is no law that requires mandatory vaccination, no? And that will be a company policy, no? And when you come up with that kind of policy, the next question that you have to answer there is that policy lawful and reasonable? Yan. And ngayon, yung question of reasonableness, ang problema mo dyan is yung side effects ng vaccine. So is it reasonable for a company to require employees to be vaccinated if they know that the vaccine has side effects, right?
Right.
So yan yung medyo ticklish na issue, no? Can the company issue a company policy mandating everybody to be vaccinated?
Ang nakikita ko manganganak, attorney. Manganganak lang yung problem na yan. Kasi sometimes, say if say in a department, everybody, say 9 are agreeing to have yung maturukan ng vaccine, but one doesn't want kasi hindi siya na-convince, and then everybody is now afraid that that person is still can still be contagious, so pwede siyang makasuhan ng HR that he is not following the policy of the company. Then later on, pwede siyang mag-complain nga talaga. Manganganak na talaga yung vaccine.
Yeah, he can question the validity of the policy. Yan yung problema dyan. But assuming the government, the DOL in this particular case, issue a regulation requiring everyone to be vaccinated and charging the cost to the company, then that will somehow render that issue moot and academic because it's already a government regulation. Whether the DOL actually will do that is another matter, of course.
But it's still being discussed. Di ba? Wala pa tayo kasi di ba yun na nga, I am updated na para bang some sectors are asking, ECO, PMAP is asking that it can either be a tax deduction, it can be what do you call it, subsidized, pero hindi pa. But there are some companies that are really preparing na magkaroon ng vaccines for their employees. Pero hindi nga yun eh. It's at the generosity of the management or the organization, but it's on the willingness of the employee. Yan ang nakikita ko sa sinasabi mo, attorney.
Because right now there's no black and white regulation that says you are required to be vaccinated, no? So it's really now a question of whether or not the employee would want the vaccine.
Attorney, it's very similar doon sa, but you know, nakikita ko ito sa mga posts sa US and in Europe, yung hindi nag-face mask and face shield. Pero ang Pilipino naman sumusunod. Are there some issues na mayroong empleyado na nagkakaroon ng problema kasi is refusing to wear face mask? Do we have that here in the Philippines? Parang wala naman.
Wala pang. Yeah, parang wala pa ako naririnig gano'n na Press Jesse. In fact, tama ka, masunurin tayong mga Pilipino, no? Pag sinabi ng ating gobyerno na we need to have this minimum safety and health standards, then we follow, no? And I guess that might be the reason why we are able to handle this pandemic better than in the US or in Europe.
Ade, ibang pananaw ko eh. Kasi it's part of the OS, Occupational Safety and Health. Ang pananaw ko, kung hindi ka mag-PPE, tanggal ka sa trabaho. Kaya takot sila.
Pwede rin, Pres Jesse. Pwede rin.
Kung hindi ka magwash ng hands, di ba? And then I think ang Pilipino takot, di ba? Yung I know of some buildings or some what do you call this, compounds, industrial estate, na wherein nag-lockdown, talagang hindi pumapasok yung tao. Wala talagang pasaway. Wala talagang pasaway. So that's it. So aside from vaccine, ano pa po ang mga issues ngayon? Na common issues while we are in the pandemic?
Because when we had this pandemic, some people were placed on floating status. Especially yung
yes,
mga
I know,
nasa,
a lot.
Manpower agencies, right? So their people
Yes.
were placed on floating status because there was no work, no? And so one of the questions that came up was after work resume, how do we recall them? How do we assign them to another client, no? So can we just issue a return to work notice telling them to report at head office? Is that sufficient? No. I think I discussed this somewhere in another forum, and I said that pursuant to a recent ruling of the Supreme Court, the return to work notice should state a specific assignment already. It cannot be a general return to work notice because that is not sufficient notice, and if hindi natin na-cure yun, no, the employee can really file a case for constructive dismissal. No? So I think that's one of the issues that especially manpower agencies face, no, after work resume, no, coming from the strict lockdowns.
So after work resume, what should the manpower agency do?
They should, for example, may nakita na silang trabaho sa ibang kliyente. For example, person A was assigned to client X before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic happened, client X closed shop, okay? And then after work was resumed, no, nakita ni manpower agency, meron naman si client Y, no, may vacancy doon. So what the manpower agency should do is that they should recall person A and tell him, person A, you are to report at client Y. It cannot be that...
Attorney, paano kung hindi naman siya qualified? Say
correct. Assuming that he or she is qualified for that position. Ang sinasabi lang ng batas, you need to give the specific designation or specific assignment.
Yeah, I know. So, dapat alam niya ng PALSCON, ni Roda, at ni
I think baka they are aware of it already, Pres Jesse. I mean, this is very specific to their industry. But if they're not, then nakatulong tong show, no?
Yeah, I will try to share. Pero yung nakikita ko, because of my friends, mayroon silang, what do you call this, process or a strategy wherein yung pag-return to work ay by batch, hindi sabay-sabay, doon nagkakaroon ng problema. Kasi naiinggit siyempre yung iba. Bakit yung iba nakuha na, bakit ako hindi pa?
Okay. Well, yeah. But then, of course, you have to really, in that scenario, the employer exercises discretion because they have to find out if the employee qualifies for a certain position in one of their clients, right? So for you to be able to accuse your employer of being discriminatory, you will have to show na both you and that person are qualified for that particular position, and that a preference was given because of some other factors other than skill, knowledge, and training. Right? So that's very hard to prove. So at that point talaga, it's really a discretion on the part of the employer.
Attorney, kasi I read it in our chat group. Can you again remind us, ilan po yung time frame of the suspension ng work? Di ba 6 months ba yun ang nakalagay sa law and there was an extension? Please make it clear to us. Di ba yung
yung Yung under the labor code, you can suspend business operations for 6 months. But
Yes.
after 6 months, you need to recall the employee so that the employee will work again. Or if you cannot anymore recall the employee, then you have to pay him separation pay. So that's under the labor code. See, may konting variation dyan with respect to the manpower agencies because in the recent department order circular, department order that the DOL issued, once, for example, yung client mo already terminated the contract, and you have excess manpower, you have 3 months, to look for another employment for your displaced employees. If you cannot find any other employment after 3 months, then you have to pay them separation pay. But yes, there was if I remember it correctly, there was an issue once extending the 6-month period. But then I think this was more of a voluntary on the part of management and employee. Because yung 6 months kasi, that's mandated by the labor code. And the only way you can extend that is through a amendment to the law.
I see. Okay, we'll have first a break, attorney. But when we come back, I would like to ask you, dito naman tayo yung unang muna, I would like to know the difference between yung paggamit ng employee, industrial, at labor. Ano ba talaga ang differences? And another one is, I would like to ask you, kumusta yung mga ngayon, yung mga organized, yung mga union? Ano po ang situation or what do you call it, issues with them now that we are in a pandemic? So we'll have first a break po, attorney, then we'll come back for that. So Direct, can we have the break? Direct, can we have the poster so that I can invite the viewers to watch the various TNC shows from the big picture down to mental shift? This is the best option, the best alternative. You can watch the shows in your gadgets. Even that when I am gardening, I'm still watching shows in the new channel. What is wonderful with this live stream, you can share this. And just like HR Hotline, this is live now, but later on when I try to see it in the evening, I usually have around 500 of our what do you call this community watching the show, because the time slot is actually lunch time. Okay, so can we go back to Attorney Randall?
Hi, Press
Attorney
Jesse again.
Randall, nahiya hanggang ngayon kasi di ba there were lots of times that we were together in Dole, in Senate. Ako ang salita ng salita, ikaw pala dapat ang magsalita kasi ikaw talaga ay commissioner na sa ay
Hindi. No, Press Jesse, talagang dapat ikaw magsalita doon because you are you represent our organization at that time.
But you are really so humble. The last time that we were, alam mo, I can still remember the last time we were at Dole. You were seated together, di ba? At Dole. Ano kayong pinag-uusapan nun? And then you were just mentioning to me, nagbubulong ka lang sa akin kung anong sasabihin ko. Thank you very much for that.
Alam mo naman yung Press Jesse.
Okay. So ang tanong ko, let's talk about muna about Cadiz and Tabayoyong law offices. Ano po ang mga ngayon ninyo? What makes you busy these days?
Well, because work resumed, our cases actually resumed. No, we're an all service firm, but most of our cases are in labor and litigation. So, when the restrictions were lifted, courts actually resume, and even the NLRC resume operation. So, dun kami naging busy ulit.
Nako, so you represent companies face to face? Nagpupunta ka sa NLRC?
For NLRC, ano na ngayon, it's more on paper submissions. Unless you are willing to settle, in which case, you just submit your settlement offer and the arbiter will approve it.
Yeah, kasi that was long ago, mga around 4 months ago, nag-lockdown po sila doon, if you are not aware of that. Ako, chismoso.
Yes. Yes, they did. That's why they came up with this procedure now, no, where there's no face-to-face hearing at the NLRC.
Okay. You are also siguro you're a legal counsel, you represent siguro companies in yung mga negotiation. Mga nagsi-CBA pa ngayon eh. Nagsi-CBA pa ngayon.
Yes. But so far, yung sa mga kliyente namin, wala pa naman nagsi-CBA. But I have heard that there were some who conducted CBA via Zoom. No? And record-breaking, siguro 2 hours, 3 hours lang nila ginawa, and they were able to come up with an agreement.
And that is what I am curious, attorney. Kasi how is the weather? How is the situation now with the relationship between unions and employers? Anong masasabi mo?
I think right now, both management and the unions are aware that we are in a health crisis, no? And they are also aware that businesses got hit, no, because of the 3-month lockdown that we experienced, no. So more or less, the way I see it, and the nakikita ko rin naman, there are less friction between management and union, which indicates that both parties are generally more, I guess, understanding of the situation and are trying their best to resolve it at that level, rather than bringing it before the goal.
May tanong lang ako, attorney. Di ba there are what do you call that in negotiation, yung salary increases? What do you call it? Economic
provision. Yeah.
Economic provisions. Pwede pa ngayon na that everybody is actually suffering on sa pandemic, and then the business continuity is actually at stake. Yung tradition ba na dapat magkaroon ng increase? Pwede pa ba yun, attorney?
Depende yan dun sa how the business was affected by the lockdown. Of course, there were some businesses who tried, especially yung mga delivery services. But in general, most of the businesses suffered. No? And I think pag sinabi naman ng management to the union na nalugi tayo, hindi naman siya talaga iko-contest ng union dahil kitang-kita naman nila sa nangyari. Yung pagbagsak ng kita ng kumpanya. No? And I guess that is where, because in previous negotiations, there is that doubt, no, in the minds of the union that maybe management is not telling us that the correct amount of profit
Yung
that
transparency,
they had.
yung transparency.
Yes, yes. Because they're only limited to the audited financial statement, right? But right now, you don't even need to see the AFS to actually see that the company is losing. No? So, maybe that is a factor. That is why medyo understanding ang mga unions ngayon, no, as far as economic provisions of the CBA are concerned. But I think may safeguards naman yan because economic provisions can be renegotiated after 3 years. No? So maybe there's an agreement between management and union that after 3 years they will look into this again, and if the company was able to recover, then they should at least share the profits with the employees.
I see. Now, can we go back to yung management and employee relation? Kasi may na-recall lang ako na problem na who should, say if somebody gets sick, this is actually for a, what do you call it, a micro company. Hindi, small, hindi pa nga medium. Somebody gets sick, and then an employee gets sick, tapos management is requiring that employee to have a medical checkup. Then the employee was asking management to pay for it. Yan po ang problema. Yung pagdating dun, yung natakot ka na may COVID, so you ask the employee to have a checkup. Sino po dapat ang magbayad doon? Marami pong problema yan. Kahit sa mga estudyante ko sa PMAP, nagtatanong yan.
Well, until and unless you can show that the sickness was work-related, then you cannot claim payment. No? But most of the companies right now, meron naman silang coverage ng health card. No? And I guess that answers that question, whether companies should pay for
HMO.
it.
Yeah.
But for those without, then it's really a question of whether or not that illness was occasioned by work. No? In which case you can claim under the ECC. If not, then unfortunately, right now you still have to first to bear the burden of the cost of checkup.
Okay. So we discussed about the yung organized group, the union, and of course yung individual. How about yung sa government? Kasi nag-research ako kagabi, ang industrial relations pala, it's actually management employee, then management with the organized group, and then management with government. And na-discuss natin yung PhilHealth, SSS. Now, you are very, very engaged with our committee, the Labor Policy and Industrial Reform Committee and PMAP. Sa tingin mo, continue pa ba yung mga, what do you call that, revision or improvements in the labor code?
I think it's ongoing. I think it's ongoing, Press Jesse. It's an ongoing project. Maybe it's not really the priority right now because the priority right now is really to address yung current health crisis natin. Help companies cope with the effects, no, of the lockdowns that we experience on business.
So pero it's still nagko-continue pa po yung what do you call the amendments to the labor laws. To the amendments.
If I understand it correctly, andyan yung technical working group, no, who is looking into this amendments on the labor code. But as I've said, maybe that's not the priority right now because of the health crisis that we are in.
Okay. So, before I ask you for your parting message, I would like to ask you, so ano dapat ang gawa ng management ng HR ngayon to maintain good before I ask that question, I know that you are a lecturer and a professor. can you tell us the difference between employee, industrial, and labor relations? Sige, mag-lecture ka nga sa amin ngayon, attorney.
Actually, di ko na kailangan lecture, Press Jesse, sinabi mo na kanina. You mentioned it, no? When we talk of employee relations, we talk of all the issues and concerns between employees and employers, between management and its employees, no? When we talk of labor relations, we refer to the relationship between organized labor, or the unions for that matter, and management, no? And when we talk of industrial relation, we talk of a bigger set of people, which now includes the government. So employee, employer, and then the government.
Good. So
yung
dapat
dynamics ng
turuan
tatlo.
natin. So turuan natin yung mga departments din sa mga kumpanya. Kung yun ba yan IR, LR, or ER.
Oh, yes, yeah. Usually, pag wala ka namang union sa company, ER lang. No? But when you have a union, then you have an LR.
I see. So yun yung tanong ko na. So what, at this time that we are in the pandemic and then, what do you call that? Employee relations and labor relation problems are still there. What should HR or what should management do to maintain peaceful relations?
I guess, and this does not only apply during pandemics, no, but it applies all of the time, no.
Right.
Is the, as sabi nga ng aking partner na si Noel Balsicas, is the heart and soul of the company, no. So if there's anyone who should know the people better, it's HR. So the first order of business for HR during this pandemic is to find out what are the concerns of the employees, no. And as you can see, most of them, ang kanila talagang concern is job security, no. May trabaho pa ba ako bukas, no? And that is something that they will always ask, no. And on the part of HR, kailangan lang natin pakinggan sila and assuage them that as long as the business is moving forward, as long as you're doing your job, then you can have job security, no. Of course, there will be other issues that medyo going into the details na lang. For example, yung transportation, food, because I guess some of us are still working on a rotation basis, di ba? So yung mga ganung issues, kailangan on the ground si HR dyan to be able to talk to the employees, find out their concerns, and be able to elevate these concerns to upper management, no? And then from there, try to find a middle ground, no, for upper management to agree and then be able to cascade it down to the employee.
I see.
Para siyang third-party mediator dito, Press, Jesse, si HR. Kasi nga, binabalance niya yung interest ng management and then interest naman ng mga empleyado.
You know, I like that kasi may oras ang HR is so much very inclined to management na parang adversarial na kagad siya eh. So I like your statement na dapat siya must be in between. Para siyang tawag nun, bibingka eh. Representing management to the employees and then representing the employees to management. So dapat yun nga talaga ang how to maintain good relationships, di ba? Much more that we are.
Yeah, kaya ako, Press Jesse, saludo ako sa mga HR managers natin, gaya mo. We're able to really balance both the demands of management and the interests of the employees.
You know, that is one thing that I can be proud of because when I was with Inquirer, I really did that. I did my best really to do that role as the man in the middle. The man in the middle. Okay. Ang may tanong ko lang, there is somebody here watching us, si Lucrecia. Lucrecia is your wife, attorney?
It's my mother.
It's your mother, of course.
Ay, ma, good afternoon po.
I'm very sure a proud mom siya sa'yo. Kasi I know, which is I am one of your, hindi mo naman ako kapamilya, pero parang we are that close, so we have been working together. I'm so proud of you because you are part of that team. Can you tell us of what is that, what am I mentioning to them? Gusto ko mangyari sa'yo. You're part of a team. Di ba in the, what do you call this? What is that? What is that? You're going to the Supreme Court?
Yung sa
Attorney,
sa anti-terror bill, anti-terror act, yeah.
Anti-Terror Act, and then you're one of the
One
alternative.
of the alternate presenters, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Ay,
Kasi
thank you,
kung
Press Jesse.
if you are in that group, that means the entire integrated bar of the Philippines recognizes you. So, yung talagang sabi ko, wow, nako. Yeah, you mentioned about Atty. Noel na hindi ko na-greet sa kanina. Atty. Noel is a dear friend. You know, there were times that we were face-to-face. We were somewhere in CDO, also in Bacolod. And then at the time that we were seated together sa plane, I got a lot of learning kay Atty. Noel.
Yes,
Atty.
yan talagang in terms of experience, talagang pabalik na yata siya sa pag-handle ng HR relations, si Attorney Noel.
Oo. And then yung experience yung quick yung what is wonderful with some lawyers, you ask a question and there is a quick legal answer, but there is what you call yung behavioral insight. Yun ang nakikita kong what is yung hindi lang yung legalistic lang yung tanong, yung parang nagkaroon ng problema, ikaso ka agad.
Yes. Totoo.
Kaya yung nakikita ko yan sa'yo, kay Atty. John, kay Atty. Noel, na iba, may pusong HRA. May puso.
Thank you, Press Jesse.
So you have to take care. Okay. So nag-overtime na po tayo. I would like to hear from you your parting message to our viewers kasi mamaya this will be shared as far as the situation that we are in and how we are going to deal on employee, labor, and industrial relations. Okay. What are your parting messages po, Attorney?
Yeah, for me, I think we can surpass this crisis that we are in right now. I think businesses will resume the way they are quite soon. If only for as long as we continue to have this common understanding, that the survival of the company rests upon our contributions to its survival. So if we can avoid yung disputes that would only take away time and energy from the resources of the company, much better. And let's always find a middle ground because really what we need to do here is to sustain the business and move it forward.
Wow. What wonderful, powerful statements from Attorney Randall Tabayoyong. Oy, sabihan mo ako, Attorney, kung the time that you're going to speak doon sa Supreme Court.
Alternate lang ako, Press Jesse. Hindi naman ako magsasalita. I think.
So, there goes, ladies and gentlemen. Nag-overtime na po kami. So, this is a light conversation on a very serious matter, di ba? Topic. Yung issues on how we deal with our employees, how we deal with our unions, and how we deal with government. And in a short span, in an hour, we were able to discuss it, di ba? With a subject matter expert. So yun nga, in your family, at work, you have to make sure, yung sinabi ni Attorney Randall, make sure that you have to maintain peace and you have to know your role and then shy away from dispute. Be more considerate. My answer there is be more mindful. Of course, we have lawyers. We have Cadiz and Tabayoyong law offices that can help us. Can we have Attorney Olet I'm very sorry. I forgot. Attorney, can we have you again? Yes, attorney.
Yes.
However, if they have problems, paano kanila matawagan? Do you give your number or your office? Di ba?
Yes.
Kasi this will be shared.
Our office number is 8638-0080. And our email address is ctlaw@ct-lawfirm.com. So you can either call us or email us at those addresses and numbers.
Can you text it to me, attorney? Because in our next episode, I'm going to flash it. Kasi ganito, may tanong ako. I'm already doing my parting message, pero may nakalimutan ako. Di ba, hindi maganda that they go to you when they have problems already?
Yes, correct, Press Jesse. I agree. Dapat sa simula pa lang, ayusin na natin bago pa siya maging problema.
Pero bang yun ang tinatawag, may retainer's fee, and then they just ask you if there is a problem. Pero hindi ka naman siguro exorbitant. Hindi ka naman siguro naman affordable naman ang Cadiz and Tabayoyong, di ba?
I'll put it this way, Press Jesse. Since we are in a pandemic, we are very, very reasonable.
Very good. Very good. Kasi, yan, you know, di ba once I texted you and I asked you some legal advice? Yun ang sinasabi ko. Kasi I also have consultancies. Actually, I have 3 now. And then I've been telling them, I am not a lawyer, but it's nice that you must have a lawyer to retain. It's not that you just ask them when you have a problem. You have to be taught. But there should be a do you have that attorney?
We do. In fact, that's what we encourage our clients. No? So, sinasabi namin sa clients, ayaw namin ng kaso. So, kung maayos natin ito na maaga, mas maganda. Because,
ang tanong ko sa attorney, do you have time wherein, yung parang consultancy ka, you have time to your, what do you call it, retainer, to your clients,
yes,
na parang nagtuturo ka?
Yes, we do that. We discuss with our clients their concerns, and then we tell them na ito pwede nyong gawin, ito yung hindi nyo pwede gawin.
Yung spot. So, anong tawag nun? Parang mentoring. May mentoring,
well, that's all
service?
It's covered yung what we call retainer service.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. O, ayan, sige. Ako ang iyong representative. Okay, thank you again very much, attorney.
Hi, President. One more thing. President, one more thing pala.
Yes.
And, can I just greet my wife, Aiza, who's watching you right now?
Yeah, sure. Lalo, the light. Yeah. I just to Ma'am Aiza, telling attorney here to be very careful. Because it's going to work. Where do you reside? Dito sa Manila.
Thank you very much.
Attorney, where do you reside in Manila?
We live in Antipolo.
So malapit lang.
We live in Antipolo.
So from Ortigas, one way ka lang naman. Oh, okay. Less of this. Thank you again. Okay.
Thank you very much, Press Jesse. Thank you.
The mom and the wife is one. when you are conversing with a friend and then the topic is really so interesting, it's so engaging, you forget the time. So again, thank you, Attorney Randall. Thank you for the missus and the mom who is watching, and thank you for my friends who is actually watching. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I agree with Attorney Randall, and you can just call them, seek their help, seek their advice. And it's right. It's not only that you seek legal advice when you have a problem. They have a service wherein it's part of the retainer's fee that you can have what we call mentoring and how you're going to deal. It's not that just after an incident or after an infraction, then you get a lawyer to fix it. It's better that you have to have that mindset that all the legal requirements are clear. Of course, hindi mo yan alam. That's why you need a subject matter expert to help you. Hindi mo yan alam. So that's it. And I like what Attorney Randall told us. Less of dispute. It is more of communication, of a behavioral, or a counseling, or what you call a family, yung parang you feel it. Now we are in a situation that all of us are really affected. So it's not hindi tayo mag-away-away. Of course, we can still argue, but less of yung parang you go to DOLE, to NLRC to fix things. Kung pwede lang pag-usapan. But you still need a lawyer for that. So that hindi na humantong yung problem. So that you will not reach that problem. So, right, that is why I invited after the longest time, Attorney Randall here to share with us, to update us with employee, labor, and industrial relations issues. But actually, this is my point. And this is what is really my emphasis, is that we seek help from doctors, not that when we are sick already, or from dentists when the tooth is actually going to be extracted. No. Much more with lawyers. We don't have to seek them to fix our problems. We must have to retain them as part of our organization to give us guidance. And we need that, ladies and gentlemen, for employee relation, for industrial relation, for labor relation. You need a subject matter expert, just like Attorney Randall, to guide you on how you are going to deal with your employees. So thank you very much for watching. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo, your host in HR Hotline, Just Marvelous